Three, two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are continuing our good friend Forrest's birthday picks this month. So, Forrest, why don't you go ahead and tell us what this first movie you subjected us to is?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dave. So tonight, we're discussing the 1978 college comedy National Lampoon's Animal House. It was directed by John Landis, written by the late Harold Ramis and Douglas Kenny, along with Chris Miller. Produced by Matty Simmons and the late Ivan Reitman, starring. I'll say a lot. I was just saying, I'm probably going to be saying late quite a bit because quite a number of people are now dead. Late John Belushi, Tim Matheson, John Vernon, Verna Bloom, Tom Holsey, Donald Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, Stephen Furst, Bruce McGill, Peter Riegert, James Widows, Karen Allen, Mark Metcalf, Mary Louise Weller. I said Donald Sutherland, right?
You did.
Yes. Okay. It's just a very stacked cast. Cinematography by Charles Correll, edited by George Fosley Jr., music and scored by Elmer Bernstein, released by Universal Pictures on July 28th, 1978. The movie chronicles the exploits, the antics of the Delta Tau Chi fraternity at Faber College in the fall of 1962. So the overall the Deltas like to get into all kinds of drink, partying, and get into all kinds of mischief. And the dean of students, Vernon Warmer, played by John Vernon, late John Vernon, is he conspires with the neighboring fraternity, the Omegas, to expel the Deltas. But the Deltas plan to get revenge on both of them. So let's go around and do our first impressions. Starting right below me, Kroll. Clockwise, right below me, Kroll. Is this your first time watching Animal House?
No. I watched it when I was a young teenager. Don't know exactly which age, probably somewhere around 16. So yeah, it's been first time I've watched it in a long time though. So I kind of have forgotten some of it. But yeah, it was a fun watch again. I don't know. I seem to remember being raunchier than it was. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there was definitely some raunchy spots, but I don't know. In my head, I thought Animal House equals super raunchy for a long time. But maybe as a teenager, I wasn't exposed to as much raunchy stuff. So then it seemed very raunchy to a teenager, and it just stuck in my head all those years.
Yeah. Or at least by I think by the standards of the 70s and 80s, it was considered raunchy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
actually, I don't know, because by the time because this came in the late 70s, and by the time the 80s rolled around, you had Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds, which were a lot raunchier than this.
Yeah. And we had some raunchy movies, but this usually was in that discussion with those others as well. And like I said, it was just probably us remembering it being raunchier than it was. But yeah, I mean, it was good fun. It was good fun. Had a great cast. A lot of young faces for people that we're used to seeing older or whatever. Like I didn't realize that was Kevin Bacon at first, and I'm like, look at him, like he looks so familiar. And I look it up and I'm like, oh shit, Kevin Bacon, no wonder it looks familiar.
This was actually Kevin Bacon. This was actually Kevin Bacon's film debut.
James Belushi, I recognized him right away. You can, I don't think.
Or you mean John Belushi?
That's
I would say James is his brother.
You can't miss him for anything,
No, especially because he didn't have. I mean, he had Saturday Night Live. He had this movie, The Blues Brothers, and that 1941, and then one other movie, and that was it.
But he still had a distinct look, and he was a funny guy. I mean, a little disgusting in some parts, but Yeah.
You kind of have to wonder like what he would have done if what he could. I mean, I know Anthrax had a whole song about this, about like what if John Belushi were still alive? Like what would he have done?
I didn't know that they had a song about that.
Yeah, that song. Yeah. If you're an Anthrax fan, listen to the song's called. You probably recognize it. NFL. It's called NFL.
Not really a big fan. I've gotten to like a little more in my older age, but it's weird. But I've like gotten to like heavier stuff when I go older.
All right.
But yeah, that's my first impression.
Okay. Over to you, Tammy. Is this your first time watching Animal House?
Oh no, definitely not. I remember seeing it when I was probably in like high school or whatever. So, I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, at the time I saw it, that was kind of how certain groups in high school were. Party, party, party. So it was like, hey, this movie fits right in. But yeah, I at that time I wasn't so into this actor's in there and that actor's and this actor, now it's like, oh hey, Kevin Bacon was in there and Sutherland was in there, and you're like, wow, at that time I wasn't really, but now that I do, I appreciate that there really was quite a cast in there.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a lot of fun. They sure got away with a lot of stuff, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
A lot of stuff that probably you couldn't even do you can't even get away with now in film, in comedies.
A lot of stuff that you could not get away with nowadays, period, whether it be in film or not.
Or at least things or at least things that we shouldn't be that we probably shouldn't be laughing at, but we still do anyway.
Oh, screw all that. You don't want me to laugh at it? Shut the fuck up.
All right.
I'm not telling other people how to laugh. They better not tell me how to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is I got away with my share of stuff, but I don't think it was quite as extreme as they got away with.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right by me falling your ass. I'm gonna laugh. I might ask if you're okay, but I'm still gonna laugh.
I was gonna say I don't think anybody here has ever tried to wreck a parade.
No.
Or dump a truckload of fizzies into a swimming pool.
Oh, it sounds fun.
No, but the seniors for the senior prank did take the vice principals. We had a courtyard that was all surrounded by the school, and they took his car apart and reassembled it in the courtyard.
Classic.
I remember in our high school, I remember a guy throwing a couple of fart bombs down the hallway, and taking a fart machine and starting it in study hall. We had a pond right next to the school where they took the ducks from the pond and let them out in study hall.
They filled the whole quad area with crickets.
God. All right. Is that anything else, Tammy? Or
no, that's it for now.
Okay, very good. Dave, over to you. Is this your first time watching Animal House?
In its entirety, probably my second time.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't grow up with the movie. I did.
His mom was too Christian.
Unfortunately, I had one of those moms who was all Christian-based stuff, mostly, which is probably why I love all the shit that I love now. So.
He's still rebelling.
Exactly, and I'll rebel until I'm 6 feet under. But hello, Jacob.
Hello.
Yeah. I do enjoy watching this film because it is of that ilk, and it does surprise me that it is from 1968.
78.
78?
78.
Yep, 78.
Okay.
Well, at least it's 78 set in 1962, but it's set in 1962.
Okay. Well, it is definitely an earlier film for Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's still got his baby face chops.
Yep. First movie.
Yeah, he played an ass.
And well, and you also have one of the kids who's playing the freshman. He eventually later played Mozart. So I know I know him as an actor. And I was expecting that laugh that he does as Mozart, but he really didn't. Yeah. I get a kick out of Belushi in this film. He just doesn't stop eating.
Or being a slob.
That too, but there was this moment where he's just like grabbing everything in the lunch line.
Yes,
that was bad. That scene was like, wow. Oh, it was a little bit gross.
And of course, Tammy pipes up and says, "Hey, that's you," and I'm like, "No."
Yeah,
Yes.
he wouldn't have put the food back.
No, yeah, that's right. He wouldn't have put the food back.
I would have put it back, all right. But, anyways, it's enjoyable. I mean, a lot of the pranks that were done in here were, you know, memorable. Memorable. I mean, honestly, in this day and age, you probably wouldn't be able to do some of the shit that they did. You know.
Yeah.
Although I remember there were people who liked toga parties back in my day. So.
Toga.
And yeah, I mean, the music from it coming from it, like when they did Shout, kind of reminded me of like Adventures in Babysitting kind of music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's an enjoyable film.
All right, very good, Dave. Jake, is this your first time watching Animal House?
No, and apologies for being late. I had caught up doing the opposite of this film, which is adulting.
Fat Drunken has no way.
I hate having to have
yeah.
to do that.
So I really couldn't say when I saw this the first time. I feel like it probably was when I was in college. I don't think I saw this growing up, but I'm quite sure I saw it at least once while I was in college, possibly a couple of times. I've seen it a handful of times over the years. This may have been my fourth or fifth viewing. If I had to guess, it's probably been a few years. And I didn't know it'd be so damn hard to find it. My copy is in storage, unfortunately, and I could not find it streaming anywhere unless you could pay. What?
Internet Archive.
I don't know that one. And it's $4 on Amazon. I was like, I'm not giving Jeff Bezos $4 more when I'm already paying for Prime. So, but I was able, luckily, to finally get it sorted. it's a movie that has. I've always thought it was a little bit of a mixed bag. I feel like I always compared it, I guess, to Christmas Vacation because that was the National Lampoon movie I grew up with. And I feel like it has it's less consistent in the laugh out loud moments for me. But, well, and also some of the parts that haven't aged well at all. But one could almost say that about Christmas Vacation as well.
Almost any comedy from the 70s.
Yeah, right. And National Lampoon's whole shtick was trying to kind of push the envelope and kind of some of it definitely is a little off. I got a picture of Bluto there, as I see you do too. Like you could not escape that black and white him in the college shirt poster. Everyone had that, you know. I love this scene that I put the picture up of, just like the way he just looks back at the camera and wink and like raises his eyes.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Right. But really he is not a role model, and really most of the deltas are not. Most of the characters in this movie are not role models.
None of them either. They're all douchebags.
Right. But and like I said, there are some scenes that just really. I watched it and I was just kind of cringe. There's a couple of cringe moments in the movie, but there are also some friggin' hilarious moments. There are a lot of moments that really do, even though they're exaggerated to the nth degree in some cases, there are elements of college life that are very well depicted. And it is cool. Like I was on late. I caught just the tail end of Dave's little rundown of some of the people, but it really is fun seeing some of these people when they were a lot younger than what we're used to. Like, you know, you got Kevin Bacon's one of them, of course, but Bruce McGill is actually young in this movie, which is unusual. And then you got Donald Sutherland was younger. He did a lot of what's that?
As the pot-headed English professor.
Exactly, yeah. Which honestly is not my favorite Donald Sutherland role, but it's a fun little. He has a fun little part.
I liked it. It was something.
And I actually got to see his bare butt.
I do not like that.
The Simpsons. Actually, there was an episode. Actually, I remember Homer Simpson sings about it. He's like, "Animal house. There we all saw Donald Sutherland's ass."
Well, you guys always bring up the women parts that you get to see, so I got that's why I said.
And we did see Karen Allen's Terrier just before that.
Before Indiana, pre-Indiana Jones too.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, that scene with Bluto, like right before he's spying on this one girl, it was like that pillow fight scene, which was kind of fun. But it's overall, just I gotta say it's a fun movie. It's a fun revisit. It's never been at the top of my list, but it's always been one that I'm like, I can see why people go for it.
Actually, I believe this was the first movie to carry the National Lampoon moniker, and
I believe so.
And fittingly enough, National Lampoon started out as a college magazine.
Right. Actually, there was a really fun. I don't remember the title. But there is a documentary I saw about that National Lampoon's early days that they did go into a little bit about that. And geez, I can't remember the title.
Screwed, Blued, or something like that.
No, I don't think that was it.
I was always wondering where the National Lampoon thing came from.
Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead. That was that was kind of fun.
It was a fun documentary.
Yeah. All right.
All right, is that it, Jake?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay, very good. For me, this is definitely not the first time I've seen this movie. I was actually 11 years old the first time I watched it. It was on I remember watching it on New Year's Eve, like after the ball had gone down. It was the New Year and everything. I remember like staying up late and my dad was channel surfing and he stopped on Animal House and he's like, "Oh, it's Animal House," because he had grown up with it. So I watched it with him. So I watched it with my dad. And I thought it was pretty hilarious. And this was my introduction to John Belushi, who he definitely steals the whole movie as Bluto. And I didn't, but also for me it's a little surprising seeing like Tim Matheson and Peter Rieger in this, because Peter Rieger by the time by the first time I had seen this movie, I'd really only known him as Lieutenant Kellaway in The Mask. So seeing him go from this this no nonsense cop to being a loose cannon, being this loose cannon party animal, this loose cannon college student, it was a pretty interesting turn of roles. And then I don't know, I just found myself like going back and like I would frequently rent, and then eventually I started this ended up becoming one of those movies that I would frequently rent or borrow from video stores or libraries. And then when I was 16 years old, I got it. This Double Secret Probation, the special Double Secret Probation edition came out on DVD, and I got it as a birthday gift from my grandmother, who I don't think she even knew what was going on in a movie like this, even though my dad and my uncles had all seen it. But they had all grown up with it. But it's just for me. I'm not, because I was there. This was actually my introduction to National Lampoon. I didn't see the vacation movies until later. So this was kind of, this was my first introduction to National Lampoon. I think it's for me, it's definitely one that I revisit at least once a year. Usually usually in the fall when school's starting. I just think it's very laugh out loud, hilarious. The whole cast is great, and it was pretty neat to see a lot of them in their early roles. I know that Mark Metcalf, who plays Niedermeyer, would go on and play a similar role in a few music videos for Twisted Sister. And Stephen First, I know, along with Stephen First. And then John Vernon, I think he's so great. He's really as Dean Wormer.
Oh yeah,
he's so good at being this hard ass authoritarian.
One of the movies I did grow up with, of course, was Ernest Goes to Camp. So like I was already hardwired to see him as that sort of character.
As the authoritarian. And Kevin Bacon also, seeing Kevin Bacon in his first role was pretty neat. I mean, this is actually his first move. This was actually his first. Yeah, this was. Well, I'm being a dead horse right there, but the music, I think it's laugh out loud hilarious. A lot of great gags. The whole cast is great. Fantastic score by Elmer Bernstein. I mean, I feel like nobody really scored comedies quite like he did. I mean, Animal House, Trading Places, Ghostbusters, like that guy knew how to make a score matter for comedy. I'll admit there's a lot of, I will say that also as I got into college, we didn't have fraternities at my alma mater, but we definitely had a lot of wild parties with a lot with loud music and drinking. That usually the cops would come at least once every week, come every Friday and Saturday to break things up. And everybody on campus, and a lot of people around campus knew all the party, like we all knew the party houses. So it's a movie that even though it was about college life in the early '60s, I feel for me for being a college student in the late aughts, it still resonated.
Okay.
I think that's I think I'll say for now. I'll speak that's all I'll say for now for that. So let's just get into that. Let's get into the movie itself. So we start off with two freshmen at favorite college, Larry Kroger and Kent Dorfman, who are looking to pledge a fraternity. First, they first go to Omega Theta Pi, where
they usher them both over to a couch with some other people and
pledges.
Nerds.
Well, it's this real hoity-toity gathering that just looks like
very waspy.
Yeah, they're definitely the
elite.
They're trying the elite, and they're trying to be respectable. Whatever.
Even though they kind of get off, even though Niedermeyer kind of gets off on paddling pledges.
Yes,
sure he does. You could tell that. He was enjoying himself.
Oh yeah. There's some unspoken stuff there.
Yep. But it's pretty obvious they don't click with this fraternity, seeing as nobody will really give them any attention.
Yeah.
Really,
so they leave. I mean, IMDb says, that they were rejected. They weren't rejected. They rejected them. They just walked out. Like they were just like, I'm done. Like,
yeah.
I think
they go next door to Delta Tau Chi, which has a reputation of being the worst fraternity on campus. So they go there and are greeted by Jonathan Bluto Blutarski, played by Belushi, who's, when they meet him, he is drunk and pissing himself on the. One moment, please.
Drunk and pissing himself royally.
He's peeing all over the lawn, and then he turns and pees on them.
Yeah. When they meet him, he is quite literally taking the piss.
Yes, taking a piss like all over the lawn, and on Larry and Kent too. But I'm sorry. By the way, I'm sorry about that. Someone called. I had a quick phone call. But they go inside the Delta house, where there's just all kinds of loud music, debauchery, drinking. There's girls everywhere. We're also introduced to the various members of the Delta house, including Eric Otter Stratton, who is a Daniel Simpson Day, aka D-Day, who rides in on a motorcycle. The chapter president Robert Hoover,
right?
Who doesn't seem to have much. Who tries to rein in the. He makes a lot of half-assed attempts to rein in the fraternity, but kind of just lets them run.
I was using my whole ass.
And then you have Boone, who according to his girlfriend Katie, Boone and Otter are known homosexuals.
Right. I also like the other aspect or the other intro for Otter. It was something like he's like, "I'm pre-law. I thought you were pre-med.
Pre-med.
Hey, what's the
What's the
difference?" Yeah,
that was great.
yeah. And Katie kind of, that's a Karen Allen character. She basically fills the role of the snarky female who's like really, honestly, the only developed female in the movie.
Yeah.
Most of them are kind of cartoonish, but she gets a little bit of development.
And she doesn't put up with Boone
Right.
with with Boone and the Delta's antics. I mean, she tries to encourage Boone to grow up, but he does. But
you're gonna get drunk every weekend when you graduate. No, when I graduate, I get drunk every night.
Right.
I think I've fallen in love with a retard.
Is he bigger
Life
than me?
goals.
Is he bigger than me?
Right.
So, all right. So the Deltas go so the Deltas start to decide which pledges to let in. So they determine by showing them slides through a slideshow, where they just look at them and we're like, yes, no. They get to Dorfman and they're all horrified and throw beer cans at his mugshot.
Well, his friend got in.
Well,
Yeah,
it's worth noting that
earlier.
it's worth noting that Dorfman's a legacy, and that's something he's mentioned a couple of times. But
yeah, that's where they go into next, is that he's a legacy, and then the president comes up and tries to, I guess he does convince them. He's like, "Let me tell you the story," and we were all like that when we were freshmen, and let me tell you the story, and then they all throw beer cans at him, and then the next thing you know, they're being in. So.
Yep. And so the Deltas wake him up with the fire extinguisher. Actually, I feel like I missed something. I missed the introduction to Wormer, because that was right. I feel like that was in between. And we find out through Wormer that the Delta, some of the Delta's antics, including dumping a truckload of physicists into a swim meet, delivering medical school cadavers to an alumni dinner, pulling trees with underwear on Halloween, and blowing up toilets during the spring.
Right.
And it's here that Wormer officially puts them on double secret probation.
Double secret probation?
This is where we learned that Greg is apparently number one toady to the president. Greg, the chapter president of the other
Omega House.
Yeah. And then he reminds him, he's like, they're already on probation. And he's like, oh.
Double secret probation.
Right.
Sounds like you made that up on the spot, but
pretty much.
So the Deltas decide to let in Kroger, and reluctantly let in Dorfman, even though he's a legacy. And so they're hazed in by first of all they get waken up by fire extinguishers, by getting sprayed with fire extinguishers, and pledged in, and them and the other pledges are they pledge in their pajamas. Where Hoover kind of just makes up the swearing in on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
State your name here. State your name here.
I state your name. And he's like Sergeant at Arms, and Bluto goes around, gives them a pin, and just gives them the absurd nicknames.
Yeah. So, like, let's see, Weasel.
Dorfman. I've given this a lot of thought. You'll be Flounder. Why Flounder? Why not?
Actually, it was Pinto. It was Pinto that he didn't know Kroger not understanding why he was being called Pinto. It's like, why Pinto?
Right.
Why not?
Right.
Yep.
That's true.
So they celebrate by spraying each other with beer and singing Louie Louie while drunk. Meanwhile,
that way.
Yep. Meanwhile, the Omegas are having a much more what I guess want to say like esoteric initiation for their pledges by including stripping Chip down to his underwear and paddling him and making him ask for more.
Yeah, that's some BDSM
Yes.
shit right there.
That was a creepy initiation there.
Yeah,
it was like they were joining some demonic cult.
Right?
Yeah.
Indoctrinating
I think I would have been out of there before that happened. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Same for me. Not that I would have ever tried anyways, because they're all stuffy douchebags. But you know, even though I got that far, yeah, I definitely would have been out of there.
Yep. So we jump over and to an English class that is being taught by Professor Dave Jennings, played by Donald Sutherland, but and who's trying to engage the class, but nobody's really paying attention or just completely.
And it's Milton in Paradise Lost that he's trying to teach the class. And
yeah, but I love when he says afterwards, like, "Oh, listen, I think it's boring too. We didn't know how to, make things engaging, but that doesn't change the fact that you still have to engage in the work."
Right. I mean, what do we think of Jennings? I mean, he tries to get people. He tries to engage his students, but nobody cares.
Well,
I
like kind of. He straight says later that he just is teaching while he's writing his novel.
Yeah, which is a piece of shit.
Yeah, pretty much. But he get the strong impression that he's kind of the personification, I guess you could say, of the idea that if you don't really believe in something, you can't sell it to other people. Yeah. And so he really doesn't think all that much about the educational experience at Faber College,
curriculum, and the writing, the writing style of what he's supposed to be teaching.
I did like his comment that Milton bored his own wife and all that stuff, and
yeah. I like the teacher. I liked him in the role.
Yeah,
like I said.
So we're around campus. Bluto is spying on Mandy and Babs in their cheerleading uniforms, while Dorfman is part of the campus ROTC, where he is picked on by Niedermeyer, targeted and picked on by Niedermeyer of the Omega House.
Needle dick.
And while Otter and Boone are working on their backs, are around the same area of campus, working on their backswings,
right?
Knocking golf balls into Wormer's office, into a cafeteria soup.
Which it kind of makes you wonder if Boone. It kind of makes you wonder if Boone really was bad or if he actually was aiming for.
Well, he does. I would say he hits Niedermeyer's horse while Niedermeyer's on riding it.
Well, Otter hits the horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Otter hits the horse, and then he hits the douchebag off the horse.
And the horse drags away Niedermeyer.
And I will admit, one of my favorite moments. I think the cafeteria scene was right after that, and Niedermeyer's wearing that neck brace, and I think it was Bluto goes by him and makes a little kind of a neigh, like a horse, like.
No, that was after they killed the horse.
That's right. That was after they did that, but still, yeah, the fact they made, because Niedermeyer is such a prick. I just love that moment.
Yes. Yeah. And so actually before that, Boone, Pinto, and Katie go to Jennings's house to smoke some weed.
Well, I don't
And
think
Right.
they went there to hang out with the teacher, but then he's like, "You want to smoke some weed?"
smoke some pot, and they
Now,
had
now that
Right.
that first part there was a little creepy. He's like shutting the shades. That I can understand, but then he's like locking the door, turning the lights down. I'm like, okay, creepy. like, why do you have to go all into that? You know.
Well, he probably didn't want to get in trouble for the pot.
Well, I get that's why you shut the blind, but why the locking the doors and turn the lights down? You know, like that was just too much.
And so they're smoking pot. Meanwhile, Dorfman is being Flounder is being punished by Niedermeyer by making him shovel his making him shovel horse manure and basically doing all the grooming and care for the horse. So when Niedermeyer goes away, D-Day and Bluto encourage Flounder to take they come and take help Flounder take the horse out of the stable and into Wormer's office to play a prank that goes horribly bad. They give Flounder a gun, encouraging him to shoot the horse. But the thing is they've got blanks in the gun. And Dorfman, who's
Right.
like to kill an animal, fires the gun away from the horse, but the horse still drops dead from a heart attack.
Right.
From being
I
shot.
think that's a scene like everybody will remember that horse just going ee, and help.
It's like Bluto's just like
Yeah.
holy shit.
Right. You gotta love Bluto's stealthy approach to the building. It's like just yeah, that wouldn't attract any attention. No, not at all.
So
But
You gotta
yeah.
love that close up though when that horse has the
Yes,
The
yes.
hot-
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yes.
fucking hilarious.
yeah.
And then next day you got the dean in the
mayor.
office with the mayor having their discussion, and meanwhile these people are measuring the horse, and then the dude comes in with a
They
chainsaw.
saw it hack it up. And basically the mayor blackmails Wormer
Right.
for security for parade security. Especially because he knows that the deltas will probably cause trouble.
He was right about that.
Yep. And we see some more antics. I mean, we got Bluto goes and spies on a sorority house, and particularly on Maddie, who's Marmalard's girlfriend.
Don't forget about the part where they're sitting there and she's trying to beat him off, and he's just like talking about the Delta house.
Yep.
And she's using gloves. I love that.
And he gets this caused Bluto to do that little eyebrow wave and fall over on the ladder.
Right.
And she was,
Yeah, her
great
hands
moment.
starting to go down her pants and panties.
I would say great moment of physical comedy. I would say that was actually a pretty good moment of physical comedy there, right there though, with the ladder.
Yeah.
We got the midterms are coming up at Faber, and the Omegas switch out the test answers because they know the Deltas are going to try and cheat. So
Now that was the one thing. Like, okay, I gotta admit they got him on that one, and to be fair, they shouldn't have been cheating. So that's on them. But I was like, oh, that moment, I was like, they kind of got him on that one. They beat him to it,
Yeah.
And so they kind of got what they deserved on that one, even though I liked them. Just like they got outplayed that time.
So then they come to find out that all their answers on the psych exam were entirely wrong. Were wrong. So they all failed. So they all failed the midterms. And Wormer comes to tell them that they are on double secret probation, and that one more screw up and they're out and they're gone. So they decide. So at that point, they're pretty much in a no fucks given mode by this time, and decide to throw a toga party.
Right.
Don't forget the grocery store scene.
Yes, yeah. First of all, they had to get the whole house riled, amped up for it.
Yeah,
Well,
that was good. That was a good scene. You know, everyone's like all this
store, and he meets the dean's wife.
Yeah, Wormer's wife.
He
yes.
doesn't realize it's her
Right.
wife at first. His wife at first, but he's hitting on her, saying, my cucumber's bigger and blah blah blah. And so he invites her.
Mine's
to a
bigger
party,
than yours. Yeah.
and she's like, "No, I don't think so." And
You could tell she's kind of unhappy. She's an unhappy what that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like,
Unhappy
Well,
wife.
wouldn't you be?
I gotta go to this stupid blah 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 thing.
This goddamn alumni dinner.
Yeah, so obviously
Right.
he wasn't interested in that. But he still invites her to the party anyways.
Yeah, meanwhile, Pinto has to shoplift all the groceries, and he ends up asking out a cashier.
Yeah,
Or
the 13-year-old.
well, we don't know that just yet. And Katie's trying to talk. Katie is once again trying to talk Boone out of doing, getting involved with Delta's silly antics. But Boone doesn't listen. They have the party, and it's just more debauchery. They got a whole band. They got a whole band there.
Yeah.
In the Nights, playing the most well-known song off the movie, "Shout."
Mm-hmm.
And we also have Bluto, Hoover juggling tennis rackets, Boone taking a guitar from a guy and destroying it.
Wait, which one? Oh, Bluto. Yeah.
Yeah, no, with the guy,
Yeah,
that guy with the guitar is like trying to charm all the women, and Bluto just grabs a guitar and smashes it against the wall
Yeah.
and apologizes.
Right. And then, of course, we had the dean's wife does show up, and
Yeah.
it's like I said, I never realized before until I was watching it this time, and I was like, I never thought about this before, but I absolutely love the concept that this movie had an otter bag a cougar.
Right, and she shows up to the party like she drunk drives to the
Oh
party.
yeah, crashed into
Oh yeah.
into something near the house and has another drink when she gets out of the car. Then she comes in and says, cut the crap. When he's like, "Oh, Mrs. Bull, cut the crap, give me a drink, or whatever."
She kicks off her heels and breaks a coffee table.
Oh yeah, that's when they're upstairs in the room. Yeah, he's undressing her, and she had a pretty nice body too.
Meanwhile, Pinto takes the grocery store cashier up to a bedroom. But she passed.
I think she took him. She
Yeah,
took him up to the bedroom.
They're about to hook up, but then but
He passes out.
she passes out while he's undressing her, and takes her home in a shopping cart, which he finds
Well,
out.
don't forget the little devil and the angel. I mean, the little devil saying, "Do it, fuck her, fuck her brains out."
The devil and the angel.
Look at those supple breasts. And the little angel saying, "Don't do it."
When he kind of looks in the angel's direction, starts smiling, and the devil just calls him a homo.
Calls him a homo. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. The next thing you know, he brings her home in a shopping cart, rings the doorbell, and takes off. And turns out it's the mayor's kid.
The mayor calls up Wormer to chew him out. And Wormer doesn't know who did it,
Wormer's trying to fight with his wife, who's fucking playing footsie with his head.
I kind of wondering. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of wondering how did his wife get home?
I guess drunk drove again, or somebody gave her a ride. I don't know.
Probably,
They never mentioned it.
but she gets so drunk she falls. She's so drunk and giggly that she falls out of bed. So the deltas are put on trial.
I love the little newspaper saying that his wife is taking a vacation
in Florida
somewhere. So you obviously know it was like one of those sober houses or something. You know,
probably rehab.
Yeah, rehab. Yeah.
So they have the deltas have to be at a hearing, which they don't even give the delta a chance to really a chance to talk.
No.
But I should say this is like one of several speeches in the movie where I thought was great. Where Otter is pointing out that if oh god, I can't quite put it all. What sticks out to me was but every time Dwarmer and the Omegas try to shut him down, the Deltas start coughing like blow job and eat me. And they're like, and eventually gets to a point where it kind of starts to like harm their case. So they say
tell those assholes shut up, assholes shut up.
But it just keeps getting like more ridiculous, and the deltas know they're not going to win that Omegas.
They're getting snowballed. They know it.
Yeah, they're getting snowballed. They know it. They know it's a kangaroo court, so they just walk out. humming the national anthem.
Well, don't forget the speech that he says. I mean,
yes,
it's pretty funny. You know, if you're going against us, our fraternity, then you're going against all the fraternities, and you're going against fraternities, and you're going against all colleges, and you're going to the education system and all of America. And I will not stand here while you shit on Americans.
America.
Right. Yeah.
We're Americans, and that's when they start hunting and anthem. Walk out.
So the whole court cheers.
You not walk out on us.
The deltas walk out humming the national anthem. Wormer threatens to revoke their charter and expel them, but they just walk out humming and making faces at them. The next moment we see that the
they revoked their
charter. Their charter has been revoked, and movers have come to take away all their stuff, even the things they didn't steal. And the whole bar is gone too.
They destroyed the bar. Destroyed all of it.
The whole fucking bar. But Bluto does get a little fifth. Gets a nice little going away gift, a fifth of Jack Daniels that he pounds like in one.
It was like 3/4 of a bottle, and he just pounds it.
Yeah, just throws the bottle at a car.
Thanks, I
needed that.
Later that night, Otter
road trip.
Flounder and Pinto all go to.
What do we do now? Road trip.
And they take Flounder's cousin's car.
Brother.
Oh, his brother. Or no, it was his cousin.
His brother.
No, it was his brother.
Okay. His brother Frank.
They take his brother Fred's car and to go on this road trip where they pick up a bunch of girls from Emily Dickinson College.
Don't forget that he was supposed to go pick up his girlfriend, who he found out then that she died.
I have to say,
he didn't seem all that upset about it. And then the slut roommate said, well, I'll do anything for you, and he gets her to get some other girls and join them.
I gotta say, Otter does some pretty fucked up stuff in this movie, but this probably takes the cake.
Yeah.
Really.
She's dead. How about you?
Otter's so damn sleazy.
Yeah.
He's a likable sleaze, though.
Well, yeah, he is. He is likable, and she
but he's
likes him.
likable.
At the end of it, all the other girls are like rightly pissed, and this girl's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, he was kind of cute." It's
Well, I
like,
mean, she had her boobs hanging out, fucking ready to fuck him. So, you know, if they hadn't
Yeah.
came running out and ruined it, you know, she'd be in the midst of being fucked by him in the back of the car. So,
yeah, so they're out cruising with the girls, and they see Otis staying, and Otis, he's
At the Dexter
he's
Lake
my
Club.
boy.
When they go there, they realize that they're the only white people in the whole club. They're in the whole club.
This is the part that had some of the cringe moments, and in particular, there's one comment that it's like there's one comment where it's like the girl, he's like, "So what are you studying?" And the girl's like, "Primitive cultures or some such thing," and then they immediately cut to the band, and I'm like, they didn't just do that, did they? And I'm like, that was something that it probably didn't age as well as they.
I actually didn't catch that.
But yeah,
I heard what she said. I just didn't think about it until you just brought it up.
Oh,
I'm like,
I
yeah,
caught
it's
it.
just-
I
guess
got
that
it too,
does-
and I was
does-
just like, I
she's
didn't, I probably didn't catch it way back when I watched this the first time, but I caught
Yeah.
it
Right.
last night, and I was like,
Yeah, I didn't even
he
think
said
about it
that,
now
and then
until
they
now.
went, oh, that would not work nowadays. No.
Yeah.
no,
Actually, by the way, I forgot. I totally forgot. I skipped over the cafeteria scene.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, it has that. Well, first you get that glorious moment where he needles Niedermeyer, and it's just it's great.
Yes.
But then
And
you
he's
had that
piling
thing
up
of
all that
Bluto
food.
piling up.
Eating food, putting it back, licking jello,
Yeah.
putting it back,
Eating a golf
Stuffing
ball.
it in his pockets.
piling a ton of food on his tray.
And then
He did have some fruit at least, so you know it wasn't all unhealthy
Yeah.
stuff.
and then they sit with the Omegas and their girlfriends. And
Well, Otter's already there trying to pick up that one girl.
Well,
yeah.
it sounded like they dated before, the way that the conversation went, that they had dated previously, and because she's like,
Or
oh,
they
it
hooked
wasn't-
up at least.
it,
Yeah.
it wasn't that good, she said, or whatever, and you know,
implying that they had some history together. But
Yeah.
Pluto parks himself in front of all of them and starts stuffing himself. That
was I do agree with the girl that was gross the way he was doing that.
he was a PIG.
Yeah.
And Pluto says, "See if you can guess what I am now."
A pimple.
Yeah.
You get it?
He's a zit. Get
I'm
it?
zit.
That was funny. It was gross but funny.
And then he incites a whole food fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Food fight.
And ducks
Like
out.
after he runs around and being chased by them, then being chased by the army douchebags and
Yeah, no, that's funny. It's such a funny scene. And also I love the music. I love the music in that. Like the music in that scene was really good too.
Oh yeah.
Some good songs. But anyway, back to their little road trip. Their little road trip to the Dexter Lake Club. Some of the club patrons ask the Deltas if they can dance with their dates.
Ask in quotes.
yeah, ask.
You mind if we dance with your dates?
And then the giant guy fucking
Not at all.
picks up the table, and then the other guy's like, "I know you guys know what to do now." And they're like, "Yeah, get out of here!" And they just both leave the women.
Both
women
leaving their
fend for
dates behind.
themselves. Yeah,
And they damage. And
Yeah.
Fred's car gets damaged too.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
he fucked up that car.
meanwhile, Otter and his
Damaged.
girl were in the
That's
back
the
seat.
understatement.
Yeah, she jumps out and for some reason just jumps into another car, which I don't get.
Right.
I mean, why
Yeah.
didn't she just stay in the car? Why did
The
she?
car gets damaged. That's like an understatement.
Yeah, they fucked up that car.
Well, they also hit
They
about
smashed
5
into, like,
other cars
6
on the way out.
They smashed into like 6 cars on the way out. Like
They're kind of lucky there wasn't a posse after them.
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't know, these people fucking gonna be really pissed all their cars are getting smashed. I mean, they must have heard something.
I would have figured they would have come. I thought the same thing. I would have figured they would have come running out.
Be
going,
coming out
"You
with
hit my
fucking
car."
bats and more switchblade knives like that one guy at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
They should have had him order a Black Russian That would have been funnier.
So the next day, Marmalard and the other Omegas lure Otter into a motel and beat him up after Babs lies about an affair between Otter and Mandy.
Yep.
Right.
And so Otter gets beat up. Otter gets the shit kicked out of him. Meanwhile, the other Deltas are called into Wormer's office to go over their midterms, and one by one he reads off their grades. This which was to me one of the
you got a 2-point.
Right.
Which is actually the highest in Delta.
Yes, congratulations. You're the top of the pledge class.
And they're all like, yeah, good job. They're all patting his back.
Yep, and then D-Day has no grade point average. Bluto's got a 0.0.
7 years of college down the drain.
Yep, and actually, right there, Wormer expels them right on the spot and says it's going to notify their local draft boards.
Right.
To let them know that they're eligible for military service. And all they can muster to in reaction to this news is Pinto barfing all over Wormer.
Yeah, he's like, "Let's spit it out," and he just.
I can't believe I threw up in front of Dean Wormer.
You threw up on Dean
Wormer. But I always love the part next where they're in the house and they're all kind of despondent, just laying around.
Yes.
And then Bluto's like, "Hey, what's all this laying around shit?" And then Stork, I just love that. What the hell we supposed to do, you moron?
Stork's only line of the whole movie.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know why that just amused me so much. Just like,
I mean, they mentioned that when they first met Stork, they thought he was brain damaged.
Yeah.
Still think he was.
But then Bluto gets fired up. And it's like, the D-Day's like, the war's over, man. Wormer dropped the big one. Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
He's on a roll.
But no, it was such a great. Oh, I love that speech. I got it all the time. The first part, especially the first part when he asked if it was over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
I was like, Germans?
Yeah. And then he gives that big little speech and runs off.
Gets them fired up.
And then comes back. Well, no, he says that, and then he runs out, and then comes back and gives a little speech, and
we're gonna get Needleheimer. We're gonna get
Bluto's right, psychotic, but absolutely right.
Although actually, I should probably backtrack a little bit because Fred's car got damaged, and they're trying to figure out what, and they figure that they'll just make up something about the car getting
all
stolen.
the car was in the back and it got stolen, and
the insurance will pay for it.
The insurance will pay for it
because
he's there
a little later.
I love when what's his name says, well, you learned a lesson not to trust us. He never trusted you in the first place. You didn't give him a choice. He kept saying, "Don't take the car," and they took it anyways.
But Otter, when they find out that Otter has been beaten up, that's kind of that for them is for Bluto the final straw.
Yeah,
to get that speech go to let inspires him to do that, make that whole speech. So D-Day turns Fred's car into a parade float, and the next day is the homecoming parade, which the Deltas slowly start infiltrating, buying marbles and staking out the parade.
700 marbles.
So
they ain't looking suspicious at all. Walked around with trench coats and sunglasses, carrying suitcases.
Stork leads the marching band into an alleyway.
Right. Those have to be the dumbest marching band ever.
Right. That's not. First of all, they realize that it's not their leader involved anymore. Like some guy took over. Then they're still following him.
Well, he just he just sidesteps and pushes the guy out of the way and grabs the baton.
Yep.
And then he leads them with the baton into an alley. And then he leaves the baton in a corner of the alley and walks out. And meanwhile...
And they just keep following the baton, just like running into a broken wall like they were robots.
Right.
They couldn't think to move away.
And I gotta say, I love the design of their quote-unquote float.
Whoa.
First of all, the car itself looks great.
Yes.
But it's like a tank.
Oh, the Eat Me car?
But yes, it's like covered with a big fluffy cake that says "Eat me."
Eat me.
Eat me. Yeah.
And they go, they ride this floor to the parade, and they just start wrecking. They just start wrecking stuff, like ramming into. They ram into the viewing stand. They knock other floats off the parade route. They spill out a bunch of marbles to trip over all the ROTC, all of the Omega ROTCs coming after them.
I love the scene where Flounder. I was going to say I love the scene where Flounder's buying the marbles. I can't remember how many he bought, but
he said he wanted 700.
10,000.
10,000 marbles.
Was it 10,000? 10,000 marbles, please.
Yep, they set off some smoke bomb. They set off some smoke bombs when they make their grand entrance as the Deathmobile.
Yeah.
And Bluto pops out dressed up as a pirate, and that's when Wormer knows he's in trouble. And they ram the Deathmobile into the viewing stand where Wormer and the mayor, where the Wormers and the mayor are sitting, causing they're like they also send like one sorority girl
and the buck kisser, president
of
Omega.
They send one sorority girl flying into into some kid's window. And
he says thank you, God.
And he had been reading a Playboy before that.
He's like, thank you, God.
Oh yeah, I love that. First of all, I love the idea that the supposedly wholesome group had that whole the bunnies on it, but there was a hilarious trivia. Let me see here. There was a Sean McCartan who played the lucky boy whose wish for a playmate magically comes true, went on to become a pastor at a local church in Cottage Grove, Oregon. A newspaper headline about his story announced, "Lucky boy still thanking God." That's great.
That is such hilarious.
So they wreck more. So the parade's wrecked. Chip gets run over. Flounder's about to spray get back at Niedermeyer by spraying him with the seltzer, but Niedermeyer shoots the bottle out of his hand, shoots the bottle, breaks it, and he's about to shoot Dorfman himself, but is caught up by a stray float, and set cart off. And then we come to find out what happened. Bluto makes off with Mandy, and
at the very end.
Yep, and while D-Day steals a cop car and is never seen again.
Yeah.
And
I love the credits at the end.
Yes.
Like for D-Day, it says D-Day, Daniel Day Simpson, whereabouts unknown. Yeah. And then Niedermeyer, I think it said, was killed in Vietnam by his own troops. Killed by his own troops in Vietnam.
I can see that.
But my favorite one, my very favorite one is right at the end where you've got, Bluto grabs, Mandy throws her in the car, and then it shows them driving off with her hugging him, and it says Senator and Mrs. John Blutarski.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we find out Boone and Katie got married, then married, and then divorced.
And then divorced 5 years later, yeah.
And let's see. Otter becomes a gynecologist in Beverly.
Of course. And Larry's working for National Lampoon. And
Croker. Well, before that, Pinto, like he meets the girls. He meets the mayor. The girl introduces him to the mayor and her mother.
Oh, this is the girl that's been molesting me last time.
Yeah, we have to get married.
Yep.
We have to get
married.
Chased
by the mayor. Well,
Yeah.
before that, they had like been sleeping together on the football field,
Right.
where she revealed that she was only 13. That's like one gag, what I mean. That's I mean, I feel like pedophilia is definitely no joke. Or statutory rape is no joke, but
Right.
it's like one of those moments that I guess maybe it's definitely a lot more. It's definitely not. It's I wouldn't say I don't know if how to put this. Like it hasn't aged. It hasn't aged well.
Yeah. The and what was her name again?
Her character's name was Clarette, but the actress's name is Sarah Holcomb.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember.
Like I said,
Yeah,
She introduces Bento to the mayor, and he has to run off. He runs off from the mayor before he kicks his ass. With his daughter.
So yeah, she was actually 19. She definitely didn't look 13, but
yeah,
that's.
I was like, there's no fucking way.
So she ended up only having 4 credits, and the last one was Caddyshack. So she did 4 movies in 2 years, and then walked away for whatever reason. Huh.
Yep. And we kind of we also find out that Flounder became a counselor in in Cleveland. I'm trying to think. Hoover became. I think he did. He went. Where did he end up in? I think he was like lawyer in Baltimore.
Yeah, he was a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
and Greg had his things mentioned, but I can't remember.
He was an aide to the Nixon administration and raped.
Raped in prison. Yes. Did Chip didn't actually get one of those, did he? Our Kevin Bacon character, he just got trampled.
Yeah, he just got trampled.
Yeah,
he got trampled and flattened.
Yeah, and then of course Babs became a tour guide in L.A. And apparently the movie ended with a come to Universal Studios, ask for Babs. And apparently that was like a marketing gimmick they did for several years.
And they did. I think they do. I think John Landis did it. Included it at the end of all of his movies.
Oh, does he?
Or at least all the movies he did with Universal.
So, and another interesting trivia, of course, the band we mentioned was Otis Day and the Knights. Right. Which was apparently a fictional band at the time. Dwayne Jesse changed his name to Otis Day because of the success of the film, apparently. But yeah, that was kind of interesting.
I believe he's still going.
Yeah.
And actually, turns out him and the band were honorary members of the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity at the University of Central Oklahoma in 1985.
All right.
So that was the Deltas all live happily ever after, while the Omegas
not so much.
Not so much.
Got what they deserved.
Now, before that, we skipped over, I think, one of the funnier lines, but also kind of one of the crueler lines. Like I said, and this was one of the areas where the movie may or may not have aged as well as we might like. Yeah. There are a lot of aspersions against Greg because of his apparent homosexuality. But one of the I think it's still a funny line is when Babs asks him, like, Greg, honey, is it supposed to be that soft?
Yeah, that's actually I was going to mention that as one of my favorite lines.
But yeah, it was.
It's supposed to be soft. Yeah, quite obvious he wasn't into girls.
Yep.
Yeah. As we said before, he was a little too into the peddling of the bums. Earlier on, yeah.
Yeah, he really enjoyed specking Kevin Bacon.
Well, it looked like Kevin Bacon was enjoying it too, so that's why he fit right into that little organism.
Yep.
It fit right in.
I guess we can go over like what some of the what do we think? Like the music, the music. I mean, Elmer Bernstein, fantastic score by Elmer Bernstein.
Oh yeah,
the music was top notch.
A lot of classic.
Yeah, I was going to agree. Excellent score and excellent assortment of found music too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of music from the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think? I mean, I guess the cinematography. I mean, what do we think of, like, I guess more technical, like this? Well, production design, special effects. I mean, this movie was made for only $3 million, and the whole parade scene is really well. Like, the parade scene is just really well done.
Yeah.
Like, well done.
Yeah, most of the money probably went there.
Well, I think a good chunk of the money went to hiring John Belushi and Donald Sutherland, but they and probably some of the music rights too. But yeah, I think a lot of the production probably went to the parade. I saw that apparently this was filmed at, was it University of Oregon, something like that?
Yeah, something Eugene, Oregon.
And they apparently the head of the college regretted turning down the graduate, and he decided to let these people in script unseen, and then they had pause once he saw the script. He insisted the college name not be listed in the credits, but since then the school has been very happy to talk about the film being there, which I'm sure, yeah.
It's funny though. This is like two. That's like, this between this movie and Ghostbusters. That's two movies that both Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis worked on, where they filmed it, where the colleges did not want to be
right.
They did not want to have any like acknowledgement in the film, within the film.
Right. And I saw, like, one of the fun things in the trivia was apparently the Delta House was like, I think it was like an actual frat house. And they actually, what's that?
Yeah, I know it got demolished.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. It didn't look like it was in the best of shape, but like,
no.
Apparently they did very little actual damage to it. And at one point, there's like a hole that Belushi punched in a wall or something. And the frats actually, like, instead of fixing it, they like put up a plaque around it. Which makes sense. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they demolished the house since then. It looked like it was violating several codes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say overall the production was kind of about par for the course for this kind of movie at that time period. It clearly is like a middle to low budgeted film, but not like a bottom. Like not like really low budgeted. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they did well with what they had. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess we go around to fate. We should go around and do favorites. Kroll, was what were your favorite, like, characters, favorite moments?
Well, the Gene was definitely my favorite character. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
The president guy of Delta. What the hell's his name?
Hoover.
Yeah, Hoover. Yeah, he I think it was my favorite character. Yeah, I mean they all had their moments. I don't know. He was scummy, but he was, I don't know, just so goddamn likable. Like such an ass.
Are you talking about Hoover or Otter?
Otter. Yeah, Otter.
Yeah, so the pledge chairman. Yeah.
Yeah, the one in charge of the fraternity.
All right, and any favorite scenes?
Well, like it was already mentioned, the best line was, "Is it supposed to be this soft?" There was definitely some great lines too. There's so many great scenes. Obviously, the scene with the girls doing the pillow fight, even though that stuff isn't real. Definitely a great scene, but I don't know. Probably the food fight and in the horse having a heart attack. So yeah, those are mine.
All right. Over to you, Tammy. Favorites, characters, scenes.
Belushi's character is my favorite.
Bluto.
Yes. I just get a kick out of him. He's just, oh, he's just so off the wall. So he's definitely my favorite character. Favorite scene. Well, I've always gotten a kick out of, when the horse falls over dead. I mean, he shoots to the air and just the way they make that camera go on the horse. And he's like, and he falls over. It was just, you know,
Yeah, and they're just all looking at the horse, and they're like looking at each other, like, "Oh shit, we gotta get the fuck out!" And they just all leave. They just all run away as fast as they could.
yeah, there's so many good ones, but that one is I've always remembered that one. So we'll just go with that one.
All right. Over to you, Jake. Favorites, characters, scenes.
Well, if I had to pick a favorite character, it might have to be Katie, just because she's one of the few more or less decent characters in the movie. But if I were to pick most amusing,
I would say apart from cheating on Boone with Jennings.
Well, yeah, she has her own flaws too. And one could use the same token for Jennings himself. Most amusing characters, though, I am amused and creeped out in equal measure by Otter. I am amused by D-Day and very much abused and creeped out by Bluto. So it's kind of hard to pick like a favorite or even a single most amusing character, because like I said, there are several amusing ones. When it comes to scenes and or moments and or quotes, again, I just love Stork going, "What the hell are we supposed to do, you moron?" And then, Bluto talking about the Germans bombing Pearl Harbor. But that scene that I have on the image here, where he looks back at the camera and just kind of raises his eyebrows and then turns back toward the window. I've always found that hilarious.
Yeah, he broke the fourth wall.
He did. And if there's anyone in the movie that could do that, it'd be him. But the single great moment for me, it will always be the very end where you see Senator and Mrs. Blutarsky. It's like, unfortunately, we have seen over the last 2 decades ample evidence that would not be out of the realm of possibility.
You get your thumb out of my ass anytime, Senator.
Right.
That was a great line too.
All right, over to you, Dave. Favorites.
I would have to say Bluto is my favorite character out of the whole thing, because he just nonstop eats and
drinks.
He acts like he's like totally drunk through the whole thing, even when they're like taking all the shit out of Delta Pi. He give him a whiskey, he downs it, and he's like all good. It's like it gave him a stress relief. But favorite scenes, oh god, there are a couple. I mean, the whole scene where Bluto takes the ladder and gets up and peeping toms the girls' dormitory. The fact that you can hear the fucking ladder make that fucking noise, and they can't
Yeah.
even like see.
And the girl looking straight at him,
I know, right?
like
Normally
undressing
they
herself,
see
and
him,
like, how does she not see him? Like, she's looking straight at him.
right?
I guess it depends on how the light was reflecting on the window. You know,
That's what Tammy was saying, but god damn, he was like, he
Right
could
there.
be seen.
Yeah, he was right there. He wasn't trying to be sneaky. He was just right there. All up in her business.
Either they were blind as a bat, or they just really loved to show their tits to anyone, you know.
or maybe it was like maybe it was just the you know, the Clark Kent effect of like, if you're not looking for it, you won't see it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that Belushi is Superman at any given point.
No. I don't think so.
Hey, you got to admit, Superman would probably have that level of alcohol tolerance.
He found his kryptonite though. So she started putting her fingers down her panties.
I mean, that's one of my favorites. The other, I think, is the whole birthday cake car, you know,
Float.
Eat me.
float. Originally they were going to take that car and like ditch it somewhere, but what they did with it was they turned it into like a tank, you know.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like a death race car, you know. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. And and I guess the whole the Mr. The dean's wife thing when she came over to the party, and it's like he had his own like lacy pad for her, you know. It's like, how do you have that shit set up like just like that, you know?
Right.
And I do have to admit that moment when
he's the kind that would.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention I'm 13.
Oh,
that's the.
No, I lied. I lied too. I'm only 13.
I would say it's, you know, now I think it's like one of the trickier moments of the movie where it's like, you on one hand it's like, you like, should we be laughing at this or not?
You have to laugh at it in the time that it was given, you know. I mean,
right.
You can't think too much into it. You just have to enjoy it because at this point in time, things were carefree and they were pushing the limits on humor. And nowadays, the push the limits on the humor is not so funny anymore. So
no, I was thinking she's gonna come back and say she was 16 or 17. Like I could, like when she said her dad, like I was thinking she's probably still in high school, so she's probably like a senior or something. Like she wasn't a college girl, but when they said 13, I was like, whoa, that's way lower than I was thinking. Like, there's no fucking way that body was 13.
All right, and for me, favorite character, favorites as far characters. Oh man, I would definitely say, you know, Bluto definitely, you know, John Belushi pretty much stole the movie. And even though he is supposed to be the villain, but he's so good at it. You know, John Vernon is so good at Dean Wormer. Just because he's so, you know, he's such a dick.
I was joking when I said him.
and they both, and like both between him and Bluto, they both get like a lot of great lines. But I would say, favorite moment though, you know, there's too many great moments in this movie, but the one that stands out for me above all is Bluto's speech at the when he gets them fired up to get revenge on Wormer and the Omegas. Especially when he asked if it was over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
Those damn Germans.
Because it's just I mean, it's just, because it's obviously, obviously historical inaccuracy of that, but of that statement, but it's just like how he and it's just but it's so it's historically inaccurate, but like done it's so hilarious. It's just so funny though, how like especially how we've seen these characters develop throughout the movie. It's just, to me, it's just it's
Just
so
shows you why he's been in college for 7 years.
yeah, exactly. It's such a passionate, but it's such a dumb but passionate speech that it's just so hilarious. It's just so hilarious. But that's pretty much all. I think that's pretty much all all we have on this on animal on. But yeah, that's it for National Lampoon's Animal House.
Yep. Stay tuned for another episode.
Very good.
Yep. And join us over on Inside Movies Galore. I'll be leading the discussion on we'll see the outros for Inside Movies Galore, where I'll be leading the discussion on our next movie, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Alrighty.
All right, so thank you, Dave, for letting me sharing this classic comedy with discussing this classic comedy with you guys.
Definitely. So hopefully we'll see you over there on the channel in a couple of moments, and y'all come back and enjoy some discussions on us.